Today on my channel, friends, we're in my craft room and I'm going to cut out, not sew, but cut out the desk mat that I need to work on and make to kind of rectify my sewing. So I've got my desk cleared of all the goodies that I use for planning and journaling, and we're going to dive in. Incidentally, the turtle is with me and enjoying it, I guess. So friends, pull up a chair, pull a cuppa. This is Sewing from My Heart, a new series on my channel. I did sew a project, I flubbed it, so I'm going to start over again with something super simple. So join me, friends, please stay tuned. Hello friends, and welcome to my channel. I'm One Crafty Dolo. This is part of my Sewing from My Heart series, as I said at the beginning. So this fabric is a beautiful fabric. I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I want to make a desk mat. I had sewn or tried to sew a tote bag, and it didn't go so well. So I'm going to redo it. I picked up the fabric again. But today I want to get on here and do this, at least cut it out, because that will help me. If you're new, you're welcome to join my growing community. If you're returning, thank you so much for the gift of your time. Okay, friends, so let's get busy, shall we? Yeah, I have to be honest because I'm honest on my channel. I have a bit of anxiety about this project, and that's because the tote bag that I kind of flubbed. Now, I will do it again. I don't mean to keep bringing up a mistake. It happens to us all. But in the interim, and this is a lesson for us all, okay? I was doubting myself. I was doubting my abilities, and I got anxious. And if you, like me, if you suffer from anxiety, you know, one really true and important thing is that anxiety is like an amoeba. It's always looking for a place to land. Once you have it, it's always looking for something to latch on to. And so it latched on to my sewing. And so I decided for this to take it step by step, which I've been doing, but even more so this time. Not because I have to get it right, but because I feel that I'm going to conquer that said anxiety by doing exactly this, by breaking it down into incremental steps. So, as I said, this is my desk and this is the fabric. I want to make sure I've got it lined up pretty well. I'm not the best at getting things straight, whether it's in a planner or what have you. Now, I want to measure again this up to that raw end, and that's about 21, almost 22, 21 and a half, shall we say. The question is, how much of my desk do I want this to cover, right? So this is the fusible interfacing. I'll put that in before I sew. I just wanted to show you. And this is the bias tape, which I believe goes around the end. Now, true confession, this is an internet pattern. This is not, it's an internet how-to that I watched. Oh my Lord, I don't even know how many times I watched it, but I knew enough. I knew enough to know I could do this. I can sew a rectangle, dagnabbit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take it from the bottom. This, I don't want to make it the whole size because to the right, I keep a container for my planner items. So what I'm going to do is give it about, say, a good 26 inches, because with all the seams and everything, that's going to take some time, right? Or some space. So if I do it for 26 inches, then I think it'll be about roughly 24 inches when all is said and done, right? So I'm going to come over here and mark it. This is just plain pencil. I have to get fabric pencils and all the accoutrements. I don't have them yet, which is part of the reason I like going to the library. They have everything in the Creation Station. But you know what? I couldn't do it this week. I got nervous. And true confession, I felt like if I did that, okay, so that's 10 inches from the end. That's good. So now I know that. Hello, Zoe. I felt that if I did that, well, actually all right, let me do it from the 0. So it's 10. Oof, did I do this right? Yeah, I did. Okay. I felt that if I did this in public, it would be even harder for me, if that makes sense. I just knew, Zoe, oh, I love my cats, but Lord have mercy, they're characters, aren't they? Anyway, I didn't want to do this in public is the upshot. I wanted this to be mine. I wanted to do this right. And I felt like if I did this at home, I might feel a little more comfortable. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I am filming this the day that I'm dropping this video. And so that's a little nerve-wracking in and of itself because I had to get up the courage to do this again. I know I might sound ridiculous to somebody who doesn't have anxiety, but I was determined. I'm going to come on here. I'm going to do this. And so here we are, friends. And if I can do this, you can do this. And I love to inspire people and to share and so forth. So to that end, as I cut, one of the things I do is I share memories of growing up. My mom, as I said, passed, and she was extraordinary. She was an extraordinary woman, and really, oh gosh, she put so much thought into mothering. So I want to share a story, and I'm writing about it for my Medium page this week. Medium is a blogging platform like Substack, where you can publish your articles, and you don't have to create your own blog. Theoretically, you get more traffic there. I'm not making money off of Medium, so it's fine. But anyway, listen, my mother, and I've said this before, but my mother had this saying of don't be a sheep. I think in part because her mother, my Nana, was a first generation American. And please note, I share these stories freely. I have no embarrassment about my family origins, and in fact, quite the opposite is true. I'm very proud of it. I worked in higher ed. I have a PhD, and many colleagues, unfortunately, particularly women, used to snark at me and say, well, my mother had a PhD. And I was like, yes, and my mother worked in fabric stores. My journey was much harder than their journey. Trust me when I tell you that, to get that degree. Anyway, my Nana, God bless her soul, was a wonderful woman, but she wasn't able to graduate high school. She was a first generation American, and the expectations that life put on her and then she put on herself were huge. My grandparents did well. They ended up owning bakeries, and they transcended their origins. But she put a lot of her ideas about class, status onto my mom and then onto us. My mom recognized that we, her kids, were all individuals, and that for us to be ourselves was crucial. Even if she didn't always understand it, she knew that we needed to be exactly who we were. And in the case of my sister and I, oops, see, I veered off. We were very different. I was the girly girl. I like all the ruffles, all the frills, all the. My sister was what we used to call a tomboy. Remember that expression? Oh, she's a tomboy. My sister loved wearing overalls and grubby shirts and flannel and all the things that I didn't wear, she wore. And my mom accepted that. She didn't sit there and try to force my sister into being somebody she wasn't. In fact, it was crucial to my mom that she be herself. Would my mother have loved dressing her up in fancy clothing? Yes. Did she recognize it was not going to work? Yes, again. So we went on a family vacation, and those are other stories. Now, please note I'm matching these and those up, and I'm going to pin this, okay? Just to get it ready. And then, oh, you know what I should do? I should probably cut the fusible interfacing first. just so I get it to the right size here. Let's see here. Okay. There's the instructions. Yeah, this I'm going to make smaller than... Okay, let me look at this again. Is this right? Yes, this is right. I hope this isn't too bad doing it at home. I know I have more space at the library. Anyway, the long story short of it is that, excuse me, we went on a family vacation to Canada. We went on several, in fact. My parents brought my grandparents along because other members of the family didn't do that, didn't take them with them. And my parents, God bless them, had us. Oh, and incidentally on this trip we had, so there's us siblings, my parents, 3 grandparents, and a friend of mine, 9 people, right? And because we didn't have a lot of money, we were kind of stuffed into 2 or 3 hotel rooms outside of Toronto. And I used to think to myself, oh, good Lord, like we are the Beverly Hillbillies here, only we're not rich. You know, we're the people who are ridiculous. My Nana bought my sister a dress. And again, I was the one who was all about frills and lace, and my sister was not. So she bought her this dress, and it was, for me, it would have been perfect. For my sister, it was a bloody abomination. I kid you not. Okay, so now that I have this, I think we got this. Whew. I'm so nervous, right? I'm just nervous, friends, and that's okay. I think I'm going to pin it to this side, however, so we need to do that. Anyway, long story short is that the dress was, how do I describe it? It's what they used to call a pinafore dress, where you have the dress and then it has this pinafore overlay, right? And it was white and it was frilly. The dress was lavender, and for some reason Nana loved the colored. She used, again, she had an accent. Orchid. It was orchid. Well, it was lavender. But Nana was like, this is an orchid dress for you. You need to wear this dress. It's beautiful. And my sister's eyeing the dress like, I don't know. This is not going to be good. So the long story short is that my mother somehow wrestles her into this frilly dress, which to my sister was physically painful. It was lacy, it was itchy, it had puff sleeves. I mean, I'm not kidding you. My sister and I discussed this at length during the week I went home in October for my mother's service. And it was physically painful for her to wear the dress. Well, my sister was maybe 5 and 4, I think 5. So, and I knew it. I was sitting there like, uh-oh, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think this is going to be good, because my sister was a bit of a crier. The year before, when we went to Niagara Falls and we rode that Maid of the Mist boat with the you go by the falls and the water, the steam is coming off the water. Well, my sister screamed bloody murder. And my father was like, stop crying. She's like, the water, the water. He's like, yes, and you're crying. Your mouth is open. You're getting water in your mouth because you're crying. And she was like, ah. It was so ridiculous. And once again, I was like always sighing and rolling my eyes like, oh my Lord, why am I here? But okay, I digress. So then this trip, again, we bring my grandparents, and Nana is insistent she get her into this dress. So I don't know how my mother wrestled her into the dress, but she did. She no sooner gets her into the dress, and my sister is crying. And I'm not talking about whimpering. I'm talking about bloody tears, constant tears, right? And so there we were, my crying sister and this dress. Okay, I went ahead and pinned the sides. I just have to pin the bottom here. We're not going to do too much more in terms of sewing today. This is a quick video, but I just wanted to show you I'm getting back on the horse. All right, so we're in Toronto, or and my sister, or we stayed right outside of Toronto. My sister's yowling and howling, and I'm like, oh dear Lord, can't we just be normal? That was one of my thoughts all the time because, I was a bit older than my siblings, so there's that, right? And I have my friend with me, and to be fair, I didn't understand the how physically uncomfortable this was for my sister. So just to stop here a minute. So I'm going to have to fuse this on and then pin the other side to it. And then we're going to have to cut, or sew rather. Just to show you how this is going to work, I will do the fusing and then I'm going to have to put the wrong sides together and then turn it inside out. Now, as far as I'm aware here, from what I watched on the YouTube video, the bias tape, once we get this on, the bias tape will go around the edges to help it, conceal any seams and so forth. So let me show you this. And again, this is just the start of this project, but I need to take it in baby steps, and I hope you understand that with me. Yeah, see, this bias tape, let me try to open it here. Yep, perfect. We're going to use this around the sides. It matches perfectly. Whew. Okay, I think to start with, we started. It's a good start. Let me turn the camera around and finish the story, friends. So, friends, the end of the story goes like this. My sister's crying bloody murder. My grandmother, my Nana, doubles down. And because she cannot understand who my sister is, why she wouldn't want to dress in this ridiculous frilly thing, she turns around and says, "This is a nice dress. Don't you like nice things?" In other words, that my sister was somehow lacking or not cooperating or whatever. And I just remember going like, that moment when your mom's going to blow in some way or something's going to happen and you see it coming and you're like, uh-oh, here it comes. To my mother's credit, she didn't yell. She simply said, "Mom, she doesn't have to wear the dress. That's it." And my Nana didn't know what to say. She's like, oh. She was clearly upset. She was upset with my mom. She was upset with my sister. She didn't know where to put it. My mother promptly got her out of the dress, and she never wore it again. It wasn't mentioned. But I gotta admit, as frilly as I was, the younger me would have loved the dress. I would have put it on and been like, I'm fancy, look at me. That wasn't who my sister is or was. And I have to give my mother credit, even at the time, as embarrassing, as ridiculous as my kid sister's wailing, my friend's there. I'm like, why me? Just put on the dress. But I thought my mother handled it well. And now, as a parent myself, I know my mother handled it extremely well. So my mother would say, don't be a sheep. Don't be like the crowd. Don't follow everyone. She was telling us to be individuals. In her own vernacular, she was telling us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made no matter who we are. And that includes you, friends. This wasn't a big video. This is me cutting a couple pieces of fabric and interfacing and pinning. We're going to come back, I guess, next week, even though it's Thanksgiving. I'll probably drop the conclusion of this. But I had to break this down for me today. And my son has a saying. My son is ridiculous. On the one hand, sometimes I just want to whack him and say, wake up. On the other hand, my son is often, I call him Buddha. And his saying is, baby steps are still steps forward. So are we sewing or are we philosophizing? Maybe a little bit of both. So all the anxiety I projected onto this project, I decided to chunk it down, to share that with you, to open my heart and let you into this and say, sometimes we do it scared, but we're still going to do it. And if you're the girl who wanted to wear the frilly dresses, good for you. And if you're the one who didn't want to wear the frilly dresses, good for you too. Don't be a sheep, but also don't let other people box you in, because you're spectacular. And so that's why I call this Sewing from My Heart. Well, that's it for today. This is the best I've got. I can't do much more, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm proud of myself for showing up. So we will conclude this next week, friends. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day and always be authentically, wonderfully you. Bye, friends.